Okay, children. Okay, good morning, children. Welcome to our physics class. Let us start the revision of chapter 17, Stars in the Solar System. In this chapter, we have learned about various questions as to how first one is how do the stars appear as point objects? You all know that they are very far from us. So even though they may be as large as the sun or larger than the sun, they appear to be very small due to the distance between the earth and these stars. Okay, next question is why do they appear to move from east to west? This is, as you know, because of the rotation of the earth from west to east. All the planets, including the earth, move from west to east except the which planet? Yes, Venus, which moves in the east to west direction like the stars. The earth rotates from west to east, so the stars appear to move from east to west. Although they are not moving, they are stationary. It is only because we are moving along with the earth that the stars appear to move from east to west. Then why do the stars appear to twinkle? It is because the light which is passing through the atmospheric gases, it is due to the refraction that the light appears to move from this side to that side. And this is why the stars which are producing their own light, this light appear to twinkle. Although it is moving in a straight line like rectilinear propagation of light, but it starts to twinkle because of the gases of the atmosphere cause the refraction. Okay. Then what is the Polaris or pole star? It is called the North Star because it is located just above the north pole of the earth. Right? It is the North Star or the Polaris located just above the north pole of the earth, just above its axis. Right? The light of the Polaris comes directly over the earth. It appears stationary because it is located right above the axis of the earth, and because it does not appear to move, it is stationary. That is why it can also act as a guiding star for the sailors, or the for navigation purposes it can be used because it can be sighted from the northern hemisphere. Okay. Okay, children. So the next topic of ours was constellations. What are constellations? Constellations are a group of stars that form a recognizable or imaginary shape. Okay. In olden days, people used to resemble the constellations with various known familiar objects like the animals, like various objects like spoon, like umbrellas, whatever they used to be familiar with, they used to name the constellations according to them. Right. So till now, the astronomers have cited as many as 88 constellations in the sky. Right, some are very commonly visible to us, some others are only visible through the telescopes or only to the astronomers. First in the series is a very major constellation called Ursa Major or Big Dipper. It looks like a great bear also if we count all the faint stars. Otherwise, if we take into consideration only 7 bright stars, it looks like a ladle, that is a big spoon, a kite, or a question mark. It has 7 bright stars. Okay, the first two pointer stars can be used to locate the Ursa, this Polaris. Okay, you can see the first two pointer stars. Why are they called pointer stars? Because they point towards the pole star right in front of them. The position of the pole star remains fixed, but Ursa Major keeps on rotating around it. Now Ursa Major is pointing, as you can see in the picture, towards a pole star. Ursa Major looks like a spoon, big spoon, a kite, and a question mark. It also looks like a great bear if we take into consideration all the faint stars. Otherwise, it looks like all these three shapes. Right? The second constellation, which can also be located if we use a Polaris, is Ursa Minor. Why do we call it Ursa Minor? Because the shapes are just the same as Ursa Major. It looks like Ursa Major only. The difference is of the size. Ursa Minor, as the name suggests, is smaller in size, with the stars are very close to each other and they are less bright as compared to Ursa Major. Ursa Major and Ursa Minor both can be seen during the summer months from April till September, but Ursa Major can be very easily seen, very commonly seen. Okay, and using the Ursa Major, we can locate the pole star. Pole star is the last star of another constellation, that is Ursa Minor. Apart from pole star, Ursa Minor has 6 other stars, whereas Ursa Major can only point towards the pole star. Pole star is not a part of the Ursa Major. This is the basic difference between Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, apart from the size and brightness. Okay, next constellation, as you can see in this, Ursa Minor looks like Ursa Major only, but it is only smaller in size and less bright as compared to Major. Next constellation is Orion or Hunter. It is also consisting of 7 to 8 bright stars. These three stars in the center can be used to locate the brightest star in the sky called Sirius. Okay, Orion, children, is also referring to a Greek god of this hunting, who was called Orion. So the name is Orion because of it looks like a hunter. If we take into consideration all the faint stars surrounding, this is a very magnificent, very big constellation seen in the southern sky during the winter months in the early part of the night from 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock. Now, this constellation is very big. If we take into consideration all the faint stars, it looks like a hunter in one hand having a shield, in another having a club. So, this whole constellation is formed by numerous of stars, and some are very, very bright. Okay, Rigel and Betelgeuse are also a part of this constellation. You can see in this picture, it looks like this. Okay. Then the fourth constellation is a very small one consisting of only 5 bright stars. It looks like a distorted W, which is not in the proper shape, or an inverted M. It can be also seen during the southern sky during the winter months. Okay, so these were the 4 constellations. We have to describe them according to their shapes they resemble to, the number of stars present, and the part of the year they are visible and in which part of the sky. Okay. Next topic was phases of moon. In phases of moon, we learnt about how the moon changes the shape every night. Okay, depending upon how much part of the moon is visible due to the sunlight being reflected by it. If the moon is between the sun and the earth, only the dark part of the moon is facing the earth, so we cannot see any moon. That is the first day called the new moon, first night. Okay, then as you can see in this picture, children, the size of the moon keeps on growing from that day. It becomes the waxing crescent. Why waxing? Because the size is growing. When the size of the disk of the moon increases, it is called, this process is called waxing. So first stage is the, after new moon is the waxing crescent, which changes to, after 4-5 days, waxing first quarter. Then third stage is the 3/4 moon called the gibbous, so waxing gibbous. Then it changes after 4-5 days to full moon. This half cycle takes almost 15 days. Then after the 15th day is the full moon. First day is the new moon, no moon at all, dark night. 15th day is the full moon night. Then now the waning starts, that is the decrease in size. Now we have the first stage, waning gibbous. After that we have the waning second quarter, or third quarter also some people call it. Then we have waning crescent, and then again the new moon comes. So the whole lunar cycle takes around 29 and a half days to complete. Okay, so lunar calendar every month consists of 29 or 30 days. Now, next topic of ours was planets of the solar system. As you know that our solar system consists of 8 planets. The closest planet to the sun is Mercury, followed by Venus, Earth, the third planet, and Mars. After Mars, we have, as you can see in the picture, an asteroid belt. This asteroid belt is an orbit of various asteroids which keep on circulating around the sun in an orbit. They also are a means of separating the inner 4 planets from the outer 4 planets, right? Inner 4 planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. After Mars, there is a lot of space between Jupiter and Mars, so it consists of an asteroid belt. Then we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. All are very, very far away from the sun. And children, as we go farther away, the inner 4 planets have at least no moon at all, or if they have, not more than 2. Then as we go farther away, the distance increases, the period of revolution also increases, and so does the number of the satellites. Likewise, we have Jupiter with 67 moons, then the Saturn also with 44 moons, and so on. The number of moons also keeps on increasing. The Earth has only a single moon. Mercury and Venus have no moons at all. Mars has only 2 moons. Right? So number of moons in these 4 terrestrial planets are also very less. The 4 outer planets, which are ice cold, very cold, or gas planets, they have various number of moons also. Okay. Then the last topic was about asteroids, comets, meteors, and meteorites. Asteroids, as we have seen, are just like small planets. They keep on circling the solar system, the sun, in between this orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Okay. Next is comet. Comets also come occasionally near the sun. Days, they develop a tail because the ice in them and the gases, they start and melting, the ice starts melting, and they will develop a tail which is pointed away from the sun because of the sun's radiation. Now, meteors. Meteors are the parts of the debris of some planets or stars. They keep on falling towards the Earth. When they come near the surface of the Earth, they meet the atmospheric gases, and because of the friction of the air, they start burning. They catch fire, right? Because of the friction, they heat up and they catch fire. And if they are not burnt, if some part is remaining behind, that unburnt part of a meteor is called a meteorite. Okay, meteorite is nothing else but the unburnt part of the meteor, which sometimes falls towards the earth. And on the moon, because there is no atmosphere, they get continuous meteor showers. But the earth, which is very near the moon, it does not experience meteor showers because the meteors catch fire because of the earth's atmosphere due to the friction of the gases. Now, the next thing that I wanted to tell you is about Pluto. Pluto, as you know, is no more considered a planet because of the three reasons. First, the mass of the Pluto is very small as compared to the other planets, right? Then the period of revolution, which all the planets have less than 2 centuries or 200 years, the Pluto has 248 years. It completes one revolution around the sun in 248 years, right? That is why Pluto is not considered a planet anymore. And as you can see in the picture, all the planets are moving in a proper circular or elliptical path, but Pluto's path is crossing the path of the Neptune. So the orbit of the Pluto intersects the orbit of the Neptune. That is why it is not having a planar orbit. These are the three reasons because of which Pluto has been removed from the planet, this list of the planets. It is now considered another celestial body called Plutons. All the surrounding celestial bodies circling it are called the Plutons. Okay, so this completes our chapter. Please study well, get good marks. Okay, so we should end our revision session for now. Stay safe, stay healthy, score good marks in the exams. All the best.